Hey, what's up? It's your boy Charles here, and in today's interview, I have with me Miguel. Miguel is a crypto enthusiast and investor as well. We actually connected on Twitter, and we've had various kind of conversations. It's actually the first time properly meeting Miguel, kind of over video, face to face. As with the crypto industry, a lot of people use avatars and stuff, so it's actually nice to have a chat. And we're going to kind of delve into his experience of being within the space and what he's learning and the various projects that he is finding more about and investing in. So let's get into it. Miguel, welcome to the
Well,
channel.
I was about to steal your lead. Thank you so much for having me, Charles. It was really cool the way how Twitter and Web3 is currently working. We just connected, we linked, and we just decided to have a cool chat, cool content to get created for people who might be looking into Web3, enthusiast about it, or maybe have some doubts. Um, Regarding me, my background, I'm currently finishing my degree in business and management.
Nice,
I'm Portuguese.
nice.
I study in Porto. Um, this is my last semester before I will have to still an unknown
Yeah.
future, but we'll see. We'll see. But currently, I'm deeply into crypto, into Web3, the all utility cases, and it is most definitely like the most emergent industry that I am seeing at the market currently, and probably where I found my true passion and where I
Yeah.
want to follow it as well.
So how did you go? How did you get into it? What was the catalyst that got started getting you into crypto? Was there anything in particular? Um, yeah, maybe curious
That's
to
actually a
find
pretty
out.
cool story because so I actually have an older cousin, and in 2020 he started like some gibberish about Bitcoin and whatnot. And we were during the times of COVID, and he already kind of convinced me in looking at the stock market because we had a lot of time in our hands. And I mean, if we can't do anything, let's try and make some money whilst being at home. That was like kind of my idea. So I was figuring out the stock market. I kind of ignored when he first taught me about Bitcoin and Ethereum and all those cryptos because I was like, that's kind of recent. I think it's a scam because mainstream media kind of says it, and unless you're gonna research
Yeah.
about it, you're gonna think about that. So I was going through the stock market, as I said, and around that time, the meme stocks appeared, and I was extremely curious because I kind of became a AMC enthusiast. Like, I invested some money that became like my first and handpicked stock because I believed and still believe, by the way, that there was some illegal market making, shorting, and creation of synthetic shares, and the fact that there isn't like a complete transparent market system in which we are able to see what these market makers are doing, and the fact that hedge funds can be market makers themselves, there is like a huge conflict of interest because there are two parties that are interested in two different things, and they can both combine and have massive conflict of interest. And that's when I realized that blockchain really is the future. Like, eventually, all we have to do in order to advance to the future is to remove error, remove risk, remove conflict of interest in order to advance into a more futuristic future, a more safe future, like a more plausible future for everyone to live in. That's kind of how I kind of realized how inevitable it was. Then I started like studying a bit more regarding each crypto. Then I kind of fell the rabbit hole of NFTs because in 2021, as you know, they kind of got mainstream, mainly those Ethereum NFTs, Bored Apes and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of how I fell into the whole Web3 scene.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. And I guess, I mean, you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 22. I am 22.
22. So, interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you find that, you know, there's more and more people your age getting into crypto, because to give you some context, I'm 33, so
Mhm.
just over, you know, a decade older than you. And, you know, 10 years ago, there wasn't a thing. It wasn't something that you would be able to get into. Do you really feel that, you know, with crypto and Web3, it is going to be a huge industry, and it's going to be something that a lot of people, you know, in their early 20s, are going to want to get into, rather than going down the traditional route of maybe university, you know, going to get a job, a traditional job? What's your take on
Mhm.
that? What are
I
you
mean,
seeing from how
that is
you're
a really
interacting?
cool question. That is a really cool question, but I think I have to divide it in two sections. So I think that as a part of an investment in terms of financial literacy, I believe that people will get more and more aware of all the options that are in the table. And I think that as people gain more knowledge in the financial system and realize the flaws it has, and realize how transparency and the removal of risk, and how decentralization, in fact, it is the way to go to our financial system to become and evolve. I believe that people will eventually, sooner or later, will adopt it in a more mainstream way. I believe that um, my generation already is I am starting to see that people are increasingly like hopping in crypto. Everyone knows what it is. Like there is no one in my age that doesn't know what it is. That is
Yeah.
already a good sign. So there is already the idea of what it is. More and more people are getting curious about it, but unfortunately, what gets them curious is price action. So what we usually see is 4 years, when Bitcoin has its halving and supply is cut in half, people are getting curious because there is a bull run happening. And regarding the tech side and how good it could be for a lot of industries, people don't really stick to it because they don't have the passion, they don't really get it. And yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest problems. Like uh, trying to keep some of the talent and some of the people that start exploring it initially, because it is kind of hard to stay dedicated to an industry that, well, mainstream media will criticize all the time. Your parents don't really get it because all they done is invest in banks, bonds, maybe stocks, and now there's a new kid on the block. And okay, you done your research, you might believe, and you might know, and you might be sure that it's gonna work, but all the world, like the rest of the world, is kind of against you. So what you gonna do about it? And I think that crypto Twitter is one of the biggest tools that happened for the space, because all around the world we found a community that is kind of against the traditional system,
Yeah.
and we were able to build like a huge community that is growing and growing, and I believe that with time it is inevitable to keep growing and become more than a niche.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think now with Elon at the head of Twitter, um, I think that's
That's
only going to
bullish.
help it boost. Yeah, bullish news for sure. Bullish news for
Completely,
sure.
for sure,
No,
for
interesting,
sure.
interesting. So let's delve in then. I've got a couple of questions here. Let's delve into um, some projects that you've got some experience with or been researching. I know from obviously
Mhm.
our interactions on Twitter, you're a big advocate of Multiverse X, which was previously known as the Elron network. Um, so take
Yes.
me through some of the, not just Elron, if there's any other projects or layer ones that that you're really interested in. And let's just delve in, and I'd
Okay.
like to get your opinion on some of those.
So in terms of L1s, and for the people that probably are not as familiar with these more specific terms, we are talking about first layers of blockchain in which applications and businesses and websites and all these sort of things can get built on. And one important thing when creating a blockchain and when using it, it is it's not one important thing, but we can probably say three. We have to talk about scalability, we have to talk about speed. Sorry, we have to talk about speed, and we also have to talk about the cost of transactions, gas fees, because every time you are maneuvering your way and operating in these blockchains, you have to pay a cost because that is the reasoning behind decentralization. You're not paying someone, you're paying the network because the network can work by itself. And probably my favorite layer ones are Cardano and Multiverse X because from what I have seen, they are the fastest. They are highly scalable, and their costs are minimal. For you to buy an NFT or even send a limited amount of money or a big amount of money, you pay minimal cents. But probably in Ethereum, that is, and Ethereum, we're talking about the biggest layer one blockchain. You probably have to pay way more gas fees, and it is not as scalable and it is not as quick because it was probably the first one to get developed like this. And it is normal because with innovation, there's always people that will come afterwards and will do it better. But I think that with Multiverse X, what I also enjoy the most is it because there is a team aligned that is dedicated to uh, do the best for the network, and they really have good intentions behind the decentralization and how it could really help the world. Whilst in Cardano, I believe that there is one main figure, and we are talking about Charles Hoskinson, and I
Yeah.
think that there could be more alignment regarding the marketing side and how could they approach it. And I think that Multiverse X definitely is nailing in all aspects with all partnerships and all acquisitions because they now acquired a bunch of companies like Utrust and ZoidPay, I believe, a bunch of companies into their ecosystem so they can actually operate like a proper global ecosystem and network.
Yeah, no, I mean, as an investor myself, Multiverse X, and a few of their projects, yeah, I like what they've built because, um, also from a kind of non-technical perspective, there's a lot of blockchains out there where it takes a lot of effort and work to understand, how to use DeFi and, liquidity
Yeah,
pools.
completely.
You need to have a decent understanding from a technical perspective to be able to work these things out. Obviously, there's YouTube tutorials which are great, but what I like about Multiverse X was just the user experience and how easy it is to actually use the
Yeah,
platform. And they've obviously only
I actually
improved
forgot
upon
about
that.
that point.
Yeah. So no, it's good.
Completely, like it is like
Go.
sorry, I think it is like completely the most user friendly out of them all, and that is actually probably the one of the biggest points that we have to have in consideration when onboarding people that don't really care about the tech, and how easy it is to onboard also depends on the user friendly experience, the UI and UX design of the interfaces that is extremely superior from the other networks as well, and not only that, I believe that Multiverse X is positioning themselves like in a really smart way because in terms of blockchains exploring Europe and probably trying to solidify themselves in Europe, I think Multiverse X is probably doing the best job there because Cardano is kind of associated to America, Canada, and maybe Africa, I believe. I think
Yeah,
Ethereum all is kind of global, and I think the strategy that Multiverse X is taking by initially uh, taking and going after the European markets is pretty smart, since they already are complying with the new regulations, the MiCA regulations that will take into place in order to see what crypto entities and cryptocurrencies are able to operate or not in the European Union. Sorry.
yeah. Nice. I think it's a smart move. What's your thoughts on the recent rebrand to Multiverse X versus Elron? It was a bit of a, in my opinion, it was a bit of a kind of surprise for me. But yeah, I'd love to get your take on it. On
Well, I was not expecting it either, but I think I started enjoying and loving more Multiverse X after the rebrand because they finally disclosed their plans after acquiring so many businesses, and they finally told us in the most transparent way why they did it. Because every business they acquired a will be an important part for their ongoing business, onboarding, and for the continuation of what they are building, and probably what no one has ever built. I I also love the fact they call Multiverse X because I am also an extreme believer that not only Metaverse is coming, I believe that it already came. People from my age spend 6 to 8 hours on their phone. So if you sleep 8 hours, if you're awake 8 hours and you're 8 hours in your phone, in which world are you really living? And I think that at the end of the day, we are just already living in a metaverse, and the metaverse is only gonna get more real. Time in the phones, computer, whatever, it's gonna get greater and higher because people are gonna grow with more technology and more facilities and whatnot. So I think that it's a really smart approach because they are gonna create. They're not really creating the multiverse X. I believe that they are just showing us that it already is here. We just don't realize it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very good point. Very good point. We're already living in some form of the metaverse, aren't we? It's just how that now evolves and what that's going to be moving
Yeah,
forward.
I think AR and
Yeah.
VR are gonna be important for that.
Mm,
Also,
yeah, no, I
also.
think so. It's like you said, it's how we end up using it. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. In terms of any
Mhm.
particular projects that you like on Multiverse X, is there anything that you've delved into? And obviously you mentioned Utrust. There's a few others as well. Anything that
Okay.
you're like, well, that I want to
Well,
learn more
regarding,
about, or I want.
I believe that my first, like, the project I enjoy the most really is Utrust, because first of all, I have a little bias because they were originated in Portugal, Braga. Mainly all the team is Portuguese. They actually got now they have a Romanian CEO, Sanya Khan, and I really enjoy what they're doing. If people don't really know what they're what they do, they are pretty much competing against a payment transactions services. So imagine a PayPal, but now you have to take in consideration the fact they have less fees, merchants get more money, faster, decentralized, and a better service in a Web3 manner in which they respect the privacy, complete transparency. You can install the database by yourself at home, and they also have their own token. I think it's a really smart approach on how they are going to make Web3 and crypto adoption grow because they are able to convert um, crypto payments into fiat for merchants. So people are also now able to pay in crypto. And even if merchants don't believe in its future, they have the option to accept it, but it's converted automatically to the currency they want. So I think that it's a plus plus at the end of the day for any merchant. And depending on how they play it and depending on their partnerships, I believe that the amount of people they can bring into the ecosystem is huge. But regarding like NFT projects in a smaller scene, in a smaller case, I'm seeing a lot of talent and a lot of true entrepreneurs, and it's why this is why it's all like the world on Twitter is completely different because people are just being themselves there, exploring, exchanging ideas, and we are really in the brink of innovation at the second. You probably are we are seeing like NFT projects creating ways and NFT use cases that will be used probably in a couple of years by big brands, but in different manners because people are now observing what they are doing, and it's pretty cool. I enjoy a lot what some are doing with gaming. Pay to earn is definitely the way to go in the future because people like you have like a big variety of gaming, but of course the evolution of that is how can a person win with gaming? How can you earn? How can you literally play and earn your way to the top? And I think that's also a really cool aspect
Yeah.
about the space.
You're right. I mean, yeah, the payment processor side of things for Utrust potentially is a huge market. I think it all comes down to adoption, doesn't it? If more people start
Yeah,
adopting cryptocurrencies, then that that market in itself is multi-trillion dollar industry. Um, and as you touched upon with the play to earn games, I mean, the situation at the moment is you've got all these young kids that spend hours and hours playing these games, but there's no in financial incentive to them. It's
no
just
big
really,
purpose
in my
after all.
opinion, it's wasted
Completely,
opportunity. But as soon as you add that
yeah,
layer in of earning, you know, it makes yeah, it's a big it's gonna be a big
I think
industry,
it's a
man. I
no-brainer, and I think that I believe this strongly also because when I was younger, I was like kind of an obsessed gamer from like 10 to 14, 15, 16 years, and I really dedicated a lot of time in that because it was something I enjoyed. I had a lot of passion with the games I was playing, but at the end of the day, I just realized there was no big purpose behind it. Like, okay, I did that, I'm good at that, but now what? In real life, that doesn't matter. But play to earn kind of brings some real life value to it because you can be earning your way and playing your favorite games. So I think it's just amazing.
yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a it's gonna be a big industry. Um, Talk to me a bit about Cardano then, because Cardano is one of those interesting ones. Certainly during the bull run that we had, kind of 2020, 2021. And Cardano got, I think, a lot of stick. It got a lot of stick because people said that, well, you know, the price was increasing, the token price, but there was people, I think some people felt there wasn't actually much going on the Cardano network. How much of that is true? Um, or yeah, was that a wrong assumption by some people there?
Well, I think that um, one problem with Web3 is that there is a lot of communities from a lot of different blockchains and coins and currencies. And I think that there is always going to be FUD regarding, and FUD is like kind of spreading lies for the people that are not aware with the term. And I think that there's always going to be FUD around these currencies regarding if it's true or not, because if people are backing up Ethereum or backing up like direct competition to Cardano in terms of what they do, people will always create their stories in order to enhance their profile, their followers, and maybe to elude some investors. From what I've seen and when I was in the space, Cardano was having regular updates. It is one of the most scalable networks there is, and I think that it is clearly not meant with any real fiction the fact that Cardano was not having updates because in comparison to others, I believe that technologically it's probably the most advanced.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know much about Cardano. It's definitely blockchain that I want to check out and learn a little bit more about. For sure, there's so many, isn't there? It's knowing where to put your
It's true.
bets.
And it's
Um,
actually completely. And one thing I enjoyed really a lot from the NFT ecosystem is that a lot of people are now finally doing like exploring another blockchains. And Cardano has been like almost like a center of all of it because it is indeed a big blockchain with a big community, a big presence on Twitter, so people can get engagement and understand there are real people there. And people from bigger blockchains like Ethereum, Solana are now exploring and making their way like into the rabbit hole and explaining what is there and what more can happen. And to the point in which in this bear market we are seeing like the top project NFTs like doing multiple X's because people from another chains are exploring and like the difference in liquidity is totally different. And I think that will happen eventually to Multiverse X as well. That's
yeah,
why I'm also so bullish about it.
yeah. No, there seems to be a thriving community, NFT community on Multiverse X. Um, I I bought myself an Elron ape when that first
Oh,
got
those
yeah
are the top collection, I think.
yeah. I don't know if they
Really
still
nice.
are. I know that they yeah. I think they I know that they were one of the top and yeah that
At least with a
well
higher floor price. No, I don't know.
yes
I
it's
think so. I'm not sure, but but it's a cool project, exciting, and they also have like Morningstar Ventures like backing them up, like a proper company. Like you could say it's the Yuga Labs of Ethereum, like the guys that bought and created Bored Ape and bought
okay.
CryptoPunks and are now having a whole, you'd say, company business model around the purchase of projects and what they're going to do about them, putting in a more simpler way.
Yeah. Any particular NFT projects that that you like at the moment, or are we at the stage of NFTs where, obviously now we're in this downturn of the market, the bear market as they call it. Um, are
Mhm.
you staying clear of NFTs for the time being, or are you thinking,
Well,
yeah,
when I started NFTs, I was like probably like everyone a little bit naive. So if I saw a good idea, I was gonna jump on it because if I related to it and I think it's gonna happen, okay, it's gonna happen. But after a long time and realizing that you need true business models behind it, or a big community behind it, or extreme belief, I realized that your investments need to be really thought out. And probably my favorite NFT project is the one I'm currently actively working with. It is named like the company's named Combased. They have their project named Converse NFT, and what they do pretty much is like they assist technologically and via marketing as well. People that have ideas of NFTs and want to create it, they assess how good of an idea it is for them to step in and help them create, because we have programmers, marketeers, developers, moderators, like the whole bunch that is needed to create a successful project. So, and by doing this, they are continuously growing their income streams, and who benefits in the end of the day are also the holders of their NFTs, because the more revenue streams they have, the more they will send out to the holders of the NFTs.
hmm, interesting, interesting. Um, so I've got a couple of other questions here that I wanted to kind of ask you. I guess kind of reflecting on your time, um, spent within the space. Um, biggest lesson you've learned from investing in crypto?
Oh, I have to think about that one. But biggest
I'm
lesson
sure
about
there's probably
investing in
many.
crypto. Yes. Biggest lesson investing in crypto. Uh, you never know too much. When you are learning, I think the more you learn, the less you realize you actually know. So having this in mind, don't ever invest what you cannot afford to lose, and
Good point.
don't ever invest because you are in a rush into to investing, because sometimes the best investment is waiting for the perfect time.
Very good advice. Very good advice. And what would you say? So you said you kind of started invest, or you were looking into the space. Was it end of 2020 or slightly before that?
I think it was 2021, maybe, like crypto. I would say 2021. Let's say um, April, March. Let's
Yeah.
say like around that time. Yeah,
So obviously, you've
I
come
think
into
that's
a time where the market is buoyant. What was probably, and I'm sure you, like you said, as you mentioned, you've learned lots of different lessons. Was there any, was there any mistakes, any big mistakes that you made that you're like, okay, that is definitely a lesson, um, that you would advise people avoid
okay.
doing in the future?
My biggest mistake was um, I believe that in the beginning my biggest mistake was believing what I was seeing without checking other sources of information, because crypto can be so elusive and can be so hype based that sometimes by seeing certain types of content around certain times, for example, if you're in the bull market and everyone is saying it's going to go to 200,000 a Bitcoin, 250,000 a Bitcoin, because you want to believe it, you are actually going to endorse it like you know it. But at the end of the day, you don't have a clue about it. The most you can do is research about it and why it could go those X's. If not, you just have to look into the past and statistically look at what has happened. And I think that, yeah, people have to stick more to the facts and to the statistics instead of hype of the bull run when it happens.
Yeah, yeah, very true. I think there was many. I know I made the mistake of listening to certain people that when I realised that they're no more wiser than I am. They don't know what the price is going to go to.
They just have
Um,
a platform.
there you go, there you go. So I think
I think
it's
so.
doing your own research, and looking at various different source points, and also I think coming up with your own thesis is probably the best thing that you can do,
Of
rather
course.
than yeah listening to the next YouTube influencer.
Yeah,
So
completely, man. But we have to start somewhere.
there you go. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Miguel, what's the kind of plans for you then? Obviously, you mentioned that you're at university, final year. Is that what you said? You're in your final.
Yes, I am in my final year. Um, so in this semester, I am finishing all my courses. In my second semester, I would like to do an internship or trying to get some uh, real life experience more in the traditional markets. But I would love to implement my Web3 knowledge uh, into those businesses and brands, because I believe I can show them how their business could grow, could they create a better community, how could they benefit from having a better community instead of targeting an audience. And honestly, I'm just looking for more experience, nevertheless, because you never have too much, and all the connections you're going to make along the way. I believe that's the most important thing in the space. Regardless of all the gains and all the percentages and X's that you can do, I think that's the most important.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea, and I mean, I always advise people to, like you mentioned, it's it's an asset class, and I think I'm always reluctant to, when I see people going all in on crypto and they don't have any other income. They don't have either a business or they don't work with someone. For me, that means that there's an increased amount of risk involved in a very already risky, volatile asset class. So, yeah, I think what you're doing with potentially looking at seeing if you can find some work experience and marry that with your kind of passion for the space, I think is a really good idea. Do you have any advice for any young people that are kind of looking to potentially get into the space? Obviously, I know that you're still learning yourself and
getting into it as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what I'm seeing on Twitter as well, you're putting yourself out there and you're providing value to the communities and educating people as well on what you're learning. You're kind of documenting your process. Do you have any kind of tips or advice for anyone who's kind of looking to maybe find a job within crypto or Web3?
I mean, I think that firstly, I would answer regarding the fact that people that could be interested in diving into Web3. I think that you have all the information at your hands in your phone. You just have to switch your algorithm and realize how bad you want to understand this ecosystem and this industry. Because if you want to understand it, it's not probably being on Instagram or TikTok posting and chit chatting about your friends in school. It's probably spending some hours on YouTube realizing what is Bitcoin and what is a blockchain. And then probably engaging in some communities and talking about what you think with others that are probably in the same level as you with learning. It is all about the rabbit hole. You have to start somewhere, and usually people start in Bitcoin because it is the easiest to understand and realize why it is inevitable. But now, as like answering to the second part of the question, like people that would like to work in this industry, I think that we are in a time in which there isn't like a lot of traditional um, how would I say traditional courses that will back up Web3. There are starting right now some initiatives, but I think that the best you can do is get some experience uh, in NFT projects that are trying to launch themselves, try to understand the environment, try to understand the language between all community members. I think it's important for you to know the community and be within the community so you can understand how the community thinks. I think it is also very important for you to don't be afraid of showing your opinion. Don't care about what other people are going to think, because if you've done your research and you know what you're talking about, more people will relate with you, and eventually more and more people will relate to you until you actually have a platform, and now you're educating yourself, other people. And I think I just kind of described what I'm doing. But yeah, I think it's all about people getting out of their comfort zones. There isn't like any textbook for this currently. You just have to understand where it's all happening, all the core functions, what type of use cases there can be, how can you add, what type of industries you think they could be like enhanced with blockchain technology, and knowing yourself, what could you add into this ecosystem that is full of designers, programmers, uh, marketeers, entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think that you need to understand yourself and how can you add value to the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great advice. Really good advice. Like you said, there's no university degree on blockchain or cryptocurrency. So I think it's all about self-education, isn't it? It seems like exactly what you're doing
and getting out there
yourself. Great stuff. Completely. All right, Miguel. Well, I really appreciate your time. It was great to actually finally put a kind of a face to an avatar and have a good, I think it's a really interesting chat that we just had. Where can people find you? place for people to find you online?
Best place for people to find me online. If you're looking to know a little bit more about crypto, Web3 overall, in more simpler terms, I am in LinkedIn. My name is Miguel Teixeira with the X. And if you are probably more down the rabbit hole, if you want to know more about specific blockchains, tokens, NFTs, I also share my opinions on Twitter, and my ad is Miguel Rond _.
Yeah, no, Twitter. I'm really liking your Twitter. Your Twitter stuff.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you
I'm
so
personally learning a lot. So you know, it's good. It's good. But I think you're right. I think for
Thank you, man. It
anyone
means a
that,
lot, for real.
no, it's good. It's good. Well, that's it for today's interview, guys. Until next time, peace out.
See ya.